So this is Wednesday, June 3rd, meeting of the Personnel Committee. As a preliminary matter, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Confirm member access. This is Claire Pond, chairperson of the Personnel Committee. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me prior to me calling the meeting to order. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Bradley.
Affirmative.
Sue Terrian.
Affirmative.
Margaret.
I'm here.
Mary Arata.
Present.
Okay, and any other anticipated speakers on the agenda? I think we're all set because Sandy's not joining us, right? She sent you that report, right, Margaret?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
With a quorum of the committee, I call this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. on Wednesday, June 3rd. This open meeting of the Personnel Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 20, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. Specific information and the general guidelines were for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Berlin website at www.townofberlin.com. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely, provided reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. While no in-person attendance of members of the public is permitted, every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. The standard public comment portion of this meeting will accommodate limited public comment. For this meeting, the Personnel Committee is convening out using a Zoom platform as posted on the agenda, identifying how the public may join. The public is encouraged to follow along during this meeting using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. Supporting materials that are available this evening to members of the Personnel Committee can be made available to the public by request. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will invite each board member by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Personnel Committee members and speakers on the agenda, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with each other, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. To the extent that our technical capability allows, public comment will be permitted during the public comment portion of this meeting as follows. Attendees' phones and/or other devices will be muted unless and until they raise their hand and are recognized by me to speak. I ask each member of the public who wishes to speak to identify their name, and I will afford each speaker time to ask a question or to make a brief comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So I'm going to move to the first item on the agenda, and I had sent out ahead of this meeting the minutes of the meeting and for review and approval. And I'd like to ask the committee to take
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I lost you.
No, you're still there. You're just not talking loud enough.
Oh, okay, I second it.
All those in favor? Tom Bradley,
Aye.
Sue Terrian,
Aye.
and Claire Pond, aye. So the minutes are approved as sent, and they will be posted to the town website. So there are quite a few. The next item on the agenda is through Margaret Nardowitz, our town administrator, the PAFs that you sent us previous to the meeting.
A whole bundle of them.
I had a chance to review them. Did the committee members read them?
I got one, didn't I? I only got one.
There was like 20 of them.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one. I didn't get all 20.
You didn't get all 20.
They should have been
I got-
behind it, Sue.
In the attachment, does it allow you to go to a next page, or does it just, is you just like locked in at one?
Nope, I found them now.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Don't worry. It's just the way my
So for
my
personnel-
laptop's going.
For the Personnel Committee's information, these are all old terminations. They're separation from service, and this is really just to put the records of termination in our files,
Okay.
to keep it clean.
Do the committee members have any questions? Sue?
No, I don't.
Tom?
No.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the PAFs as presented by the town administrator.
I second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Claire Pond, aye. Tom?
Aye, sorry.
That's okay, Sue.
Aye.
Okay, so the PAFs that were sent to us ahead of time were all approved.
I'll note your approval on the bottom of every form.
Great. Were there any positions, Margaret, any new positions that need to be?
No new positions that require personnel action forms at this moment in time.
Okay, great. All right, and then the next item on the agenda was the HR consultant update, which you had sent us an update on that.
Yeah. So I spoke with Sandy today. She's got herself and 2 other consultants working on the project. And based on our conversation, and I think this follows the project update list that she gave you. She's working on everything. She concluded the orientations, the PAQs. They conducted the interviews. That's when COVID was hitting, so they did some interviews in person and immediately had to transition to virtual interviews. They have been developing and template job descriptions.
Excuse me for just a minute. Can somebody put their phone on mute? What's that noise? Do we know what that noise is?
It's a scratching noise.
It's like a squeaky scratching noise. Okay. All right, that's better. That's better.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. They developed template job descriptions. They've got 2 consultants working on that. They added an additional few positions as I requested. I asked them to be sure that the entire police force, that all police were in there, even though they are collective bargaining. I asked them to include me and the town clerk. in order to do good market comps. They are, let's see. Oh yes, they're working on the FLSA classifications for exempt and non-exempt. Most of our employees are non-exempt.
Great.
They have done or are working on initial rankings, preliminary. Market data is going to be collected in June. They are going to use FY20 data only because it's still FY20. And there are a lot of questions for FY21, and there's not a huge range of what towns are doing at this point. There was before, but most towns are doing only up to 2%. Many towns are doing 0 for COLAs.
Yeah.
And so they'll use the market data for the positions and then provide recommendations on how to adjust them for FY21. She's mentioned that she had the meeting with Personnel Committee and went over the policies outlined there. They've had several consultant team meetings. They set up a share file and a web portal. Draft documents, and I think she gave this to you in the schedule. Draft documents will be ready for a preliminary review at approximately the end of July or the beginning of August. And then she expects to finish by mid-September. So the reviews will happen between the drafts being submitted and then them finishing up the project by September. And during the review process, there will be strategic meetings held. So she will meet with you and the board to discuss the compensation plans and other things that there are any questions on.
Okay. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's great. And they did up this Gantt chart as well.
They did. Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I
She's very
think that's
organized.
great.
Sue, did you get those?
Yes, I did.
Do you need a vote of any kind from the Personnel Committee, or is this basically just an update?
This is an update.
Okay, great. Let's see, what was my next thing on the agenda?
When's the finalization on that? Do you know, Margaret?
Yeah, she's saying the final report should be in September.
Okay.
We'd be getting the drafts for review and comments in late July or early August. So we'd have a month.
Okay.
Great, okay.
That's when she'll let us know how the job descriptions are looking, or?
Yes. Yeah, we'll get the
Okay.
draft. We're going to get draft everything in August. She says all the
Okay.
reports will come in draft form in August. That includes the job descriptions. Yeah.
Okay.
Great,
Good.
okay. We did have on the agenda a budget update, but you've got FinCom tonight, right?
Yes.
So you'll know a little bit more on that.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot that's going to change. What has changed, of course, are our revenue projections. They're tanking, and for good reason, because the
Yep.
economy is. And so the Berlin-Boylston School District, I mean, this is just for your information, they voted 2 weeks. Oh, is it me? Is it my jewelry?
No,
I think it is you.
I was just wondering if the town hall Wi-Fi has interference, but I don't know.
Well,
Should you keep going?
no, maybe I shouldn't. It's okay.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. So the school committee,
Okay, sorry. It's not me, I don't think. The school committee voted 2 weeks ago to reduce their budget assessments to Berlin. Their Berlin Memorial School operating and capital assessments and the Tohoto assessment. So those combined created a revenue surplus that fortunately we've been able to apply to some of our projected revenues that we feel that we need to make even more conservative than they already were.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that helped a little bit. Beautiful.
Yes, and in the recommended budget, there's going to be that contingency line that contains funding for potential wage adjustments for market equity.
Okay,
So when the study comes back and if we see that anybody is lagging far behind, we could use some funding in that line.
okay.
Okay.
Let's see. The next thing I had down, that was a budget update. I just had a couple of questions that I wanted to bring. I was asked this by one of the employees, and I had referred him to come to you as town administrator, but there was a question on vacation accruals and carryovers. So I didn't know if the town was considering, in 17.1 of the personnel policies, there's a portion that reads that this has to do with during this COVID crisis, so to speak. I know some companies, private not-for-profits, have decided to tweak their policies or have exceptions to their policies, but our policies already state that vacation leave may not be accumulated to more than 1.5 times the applicable vacation leave accrual rate for an employee, provided, however, that the limit shall be extended for a maximum of 60 days if departmental scheduling or other extenuating circumstances relating to the functioning of the department preclude the use of vacation leave at the time. So I think in terms of how you as town administrator and the managers, I think you've got some wiggle room in the way you handle that. And so I did not have my personnel policies in front of me when I was confronted with this. And I just asked them to come to you about it. So
Right.
I hope that was what you'd like.
That is exactly where I went, that exact paragraph. And that actually is fitting for this situation. And that's exactly what I'll do. I will remind department heads that provision is in place for a situation just like this.
Okay.
And that employees, I guess I'm probably going to want to know what their balance is, because since they can't exceed the 1.5 times the applicable vacation accrual rate for where they're at.
Right.
So I'll want to know the balances, but they'll be able to carry over for 60 days. And I think that's important right now. No one's been able to really take a vacation.
Right, right. Yeah, and I actually, in my employer, same exact thing, and they permit a certain carryover at the end of our calendar year instead of fiscal year. So we have a fiscal year on September 30th, and then we have a calendar year on December 31st. So they are extending ours as well because of the extenuating circumstances. So so hopefully, if anybody, hopefully you'd be able to get back to somebody, and I will mention it to the person that came to me about it as well, just to make sure that he knows that I went to the bylaws, and it does give us some wiggle room. So
if it happens to be the same employee I was asked about by the supervisor of that employee, I have given that exact language to the supervisor to provide to the employee.
perfect.
So yeah.
Good.
So
Okay.
and I will send out, you know what I'll do? I'll send out an email. I have a department heads meeting next week. So I'll provide this information to department heads and send out either an email or a memo regarding the vacation leave carryover and the extenuating circumstances this year to allow that.
Okay, good. All right. Does anybody else have any business?
No.
So,
I don't have any business. There's a lot of people coming with questions, and my answer has been to wait until HR is done with the job descriptions, different concerns from different people in town.
yep.
So just so you know, I've just been giving the answer that I would rather wait before we even talk about things to see what HR says about the job descriptions. But that is how I am responding.
Okay,
I'll
Sounds
agree with
appropriate.
you on that, Sue.
okay, good. Is there any other business that
Um,
needs to be, oh, go
Just
ahead, Margaret.
two things. First of all, the 1870 Town Hall manager who was offered the position, a few months ago now, has been very patiently waiting to start. And while we don't have an exact start date for her because the town hall won't open in this phase,
Oh,
I have invited her to the department heads meeting to meet other department heads and actually maybe get her feet wet a little bit, and start in slowly. So she'll be meeting department heads next week. I just want her to feel like she's part of the team. Poor thing, she's been out, she's
that's
been out there
great.
since March.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And then the Council on Aging Director, the board did unanimously offer the position to Victoria Flynn on Monday night. So we're trying to work with her. As you know, the person, as you know, because you recommended adjustment to the rate for the
Right.
position, it's still
Yeah.
pretty low. And
Yes.
so we're trying to figure out how we make it attractive, because the amount of money that's
Yeah.
budgeted in FY21 is only for step one.
Right,
So
Right.
I've got a few ideas as far as, the COA formula grant and things like that to maybe do something. So I'm looking into that.
and that was one that we were hoping, and we even have it in the minutes, that we were hoping that the HR consultant would come up with some more information for us on that, so.
Yeah, I actually pulled out
What's
your
the name?
chart today.
What's the name of the 1870 Town Hall manager as well? What's,
Her name is Lisa Betcher Smith, and it's BOETTCHER-Smith.
okay, great.
Now, just one question. Does she have to wait until the town hall opens, or can she at least start some marketing
Yeah,
and strategies? I mean, we know that needs to happen.
yeah, I agree, Sue, and I'd like her to start before the formal opening of the 1870. She's already been in there. She's done a video. She's tried to do as much as she can, but at this point, she needs to get in there and take a look around. What we
Yeah.
do have to be cognizant of is the fact that she's paid from the revolving fund. So we need to be sure that there are going to be revenues sufficient to, to carry her through with her wages. So
Yeah.
it's a balancing act, but I also want her to start before it formally opens.
Yep. Okay. All right, good. Well, that's great news. Anything else from anyone?
I have nothing.
Hearing nothing, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Sue, are you in favor of that?
I will second that, and I am in favor of it.
Tom?
I will agree with both of you, all of you.
Okay. Given that information, we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:54 PM.